because after spending more than 1 month telling you Chelsea are on it, Chelsea are working on Caicedo, Caicedo is on Chelsea list, Caicedo is a priority target, we can now say that Chelsea are really advancing on the Moises Caicedo deal on the player side.
Remember, we always talk about this, but if you're new to the Terrace, you get the personal side done first before you start the deep negotiations with the club, the seller, the vendor, because the player doesn't want to join. He doesn't agree personal terms. It is futile. It is pointless talking to the seller, in this case, Brighton.
Let me clarify one thing to begin this video. This is not a done deal, and we still have to wait before calling this a done deal. This is important to clarify, because during the night we heard some rumors of deal imminent or these kind of things. No, there is still some job to do for Chelsea to get Moises Caicedo, but they are really advancing. I told you, it's more than 1 month, beginning of May, that they started to push for Caicedo. They had.
Now, what's really interesting about this, it shows you how long deals take to get done at times. No one deal is the same as any other. I see so many fans online, angry, frustrated, annoyed, moaning, crying, bitching. Why isn't it done yet? This has been a month in the makings and only now just advancing with the player. Players want time to think. They want to sit back and relax. You keep getting told through the intermediaries talking to the clubs what the prices might be. Remember, 70 to 80 million a week ago was the quoted price. Now Tony Bloom's saying I want over 100 million pounds. This changes everything. It will mean clubs have to go and work on alternatives rather than putting all their eggs into one basket, because they have to have a fail safe. There has to be a fail safe. There has to be a valve here. There has to be a backup option if it goes wrong. So remember that when it comes to moaning about how long transfers take.
In the list, Manuel Ugarte and Moises Caicedo. It was not Ugarte or Caicedo. Both of them. Then what happened? Ugarte gone to Paris Saint-Germain, and in that moment, Chelsea started to attack the situation for Moises Caicedo on the player side. Now, the agreement or personal terms is getting closer, is not something done yet, but the conversation is going on and is going very well between.
And that's great. Chelsea fans will be over the moon, because generally speaking, when personal terms get done, when a club is a willing seller for the right price, deals get done. So as we know, personal terms, all but agreed or nearly agreed, very advanced, as Fabrizio Romano says. Chelsea fans, how are you feeling about that? All these stories, by the way, are trending right now on OneFootball. Get the app downloaded. Link in the description, or scan that QR code. It's free. They aggregate everything for you. Absolutely tip-top amazing app. It's all I use. Get it done now. But how are you feeling about this deal? How do you feel about it going as high as 100 million? Talk to me in the comment sections right now. And I'll know if you've listened this far by the responses we get. How do you feel about 100 million for this player? 90 million for this player? 80 million for this player? I would love your comments right now. My view on this has been the very same since the beginning. I think Caicedo is going to be one of the best central midfielders in world football for the next decade. Let's say you have to pay 100 million pounds for him. I believe over the next 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years, that is going to represent amazing value for money. You don't want to miss out on him. Midfielders like him, of his quality, ability, and character, are only going to become more and more expensive. Players get expensive every 3 to 4 years. There's like a jump in the base value of top-class players. This is why you see people like Gibbs White going for nearly 40 million pounds in 2022. Players like him will only get more expensive if there is a player of his quality in the next 1, 2, 3 years. Chelsea are leading this race. Chelsea are the front runners. They cannot allow this to slip through their fingers. They can't. Man United did in January 2002. They didn't listen to Ralph Rangnick. £4 million. You're now looking at anywhere between 80 to 100 million pound asset and one of the best young midfielders in world football. Chelsea have to close this out and get it done. But what Chelsea also need to do, now this could be an opportunity for people to exploit Chelsea, is Chelsea need to sell. They need to move people on. Now, what we know as of tonight, Arsenal have agreed personal terms with Kai Havertz. That is done. That is dusted. He wants to become an Arsenal player. Now, of course, another question for you. Well, Gooners, how are you feeling about that? I want to know. I want to know what you think, what you feel about that idea. We spoke about it on live streams. I've heard from some of you, but I want your genuine thoughts now the dust has settled, now that you know it's real, now that you've agreed personal terms, and your first bid has gone in. Now, the first bid was for about £55 million. Chelsea want over 60. The first bid, as we understand it, has been rejected. Chelsea have said no. But we'll come back to Arsenal in a second because I said in the Caicedo piece, Chelsea have got to sell players. They may have the bees and honey to buy Caicedo now, but they have to deflate this squad. It has to be. It's imperative. They've rejected a bid from Man United for Mount. They've rejected a bid from Arsenal for Kai Havertz. They haven't got rid of Loftus-Cheek. Kante's still there as far as... No, Kante may have gone now. I may be mistaken on that. But they've got to clear more people out. Kai Havertz bid £55 million. Chelsea deemed that not to be enough. Arsenal fans, what do you make of that? And how high do you think Arsenal should go? The player wants to leave. Arteta is convinced him that Arsenal's the right place to go to, but how much money do you invest in Kai Havertz? For me, I kind of feel 55 million, maybe 60 is the absolute upper limit. You can't go beyond that. Surely anything beyond that is you're starting to get into the overpriced area, which I know you'll get. The league gunners of this world say, stop being an accountant. It's not your money. You've got a budget. You've got to budget. If you overspend, it means you'll miss out on another target. It's basic maths. 1, 2, 3. 1 plus 1. If you end up spending 10, 15, 20 million more on 2 targets, you'll miss out on your third. There is not a bottomless pit of money, even though the budget could be particularly high. So how high should Arsenal go? And Chelsea fans, are you getting frustrated that your club is rejecting these bids? Now, what is positive for Chelsea is more news from Fabrizio Romano that one personal terms we know for 10 days now agreed between Mateo Kovacic and Manchester City. Now it comes down to finalizing the deal. Now, there are reports that the clubs are advancing and very close to an agreement from Fabrizio. Some other outlets across Europe are stating it's going to be 40 million euros, and Kovacic will become a Man City player next year. Now, we've seen Ilkay Gundogan put on the release list. Doesn't mean he won't sign his new deal. Officially, he's released, but he could sign a new deal any day now. But Kovacic is seen as his replacement somewhat. I get a feeling Kovacic's deal won't be announced until Gundogan makes his mind up fully. I think City will probably keep the deal on ice. I could be wrong, and they could sign him anyway. And that wouldn't be the first time a prediction from a fan is wrong. But maybe, just maybe, that's what they're doing. But a lot of Chelsea fans would say that Kovacic is better than Kai Havertz. Different positions, profiles, but better. He's a little older at 29, 1 year left on his deal. But if he's 40 million euros, which is what? Low mid-30s in pounds. Where's the justification in negotiations to want 60 to 70 for Havertz? 70 to 80 for Mason Mount, if they're players that you deem surplus to requirements? I want to understand that. Leave me your comments below why that's happening. Right, wrong, indifferent. I just want your opinions on this. And staying with Chelsea and ending with Chelsea, we know they need a bagsman. We know they need a striker. We know they need goals next year. The midfield rebuild is, of course, important as well. But they're linked tonight to the Valencia forward Jackson. Look, namesake of my son. So I don't want to be too harsh. But this is not the level, Chelsea. 13 goals last year, 1 in 10 games in Europe. Young. There is a rawness there. There is some talent, there's no doubt. But this, in my opinion, is not what Chelsea need next season. You may as well re-sign Tammy Abraham. You may as well go for Ollie Watkins. You may as well stick with what you've got, sign Tony, and just use him from January. I don't think this man is going to be anywhere good enough to lead the line for Chelsea Football Club. I just don't. Now, I could be wrong, and some of you may have some scouting reports and some ideas about this player that I'm unfamiliar with. Now, what I've read about him today seems good, but Chelsea need better than good as far as I'm concerned. Now, I'm a Man United fan, so if you get him, I'm buzzing because I don't think it's going to improve you significantly up front. Lautaro Martinez, Osherman. Listen, I mentioned him a minute. Ollie Watkins is better than this guy. If you're going to go for average, at least buy someone that's average, that's better than this guy, like the upper echelons of average. I'm talking about on the elite spectrum. They're all very good players, as we know. They're all very good players, as we know. But look, from my point of view, just not good enough, in my very, very humble opinion. Do me a big favor, though. They're all the stories this evening. Download OneFootball as ever. Hit the like and the share button. Make sure you subscribe. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Thank you.